Hey everyone, and welcome back to Storytime with JRP. We're continuing my book, Lawrence Gray, Secret of the Lost Remote Colony, and we're currently in chapter 50. So if you're just joining us, head back to chapter 1 so you don't miss any crucial details. So, a brief recap of the previous chapter. Lawrence Gray and the remaining assassin headed to Washington, D.C. to try to tell the president about the impending attack. But the president wasn't there, as the president had headed over to Area 51 to begin preparations to fight back. So they ran into General Farragut, and they have no idea what to do next. Meanwhile, the Roanoke army has emerged and taken over Huntington Beach, led now by the evil General Sheldon, fully unmasked as Philip Swanson. So we're going to see what happens now in chapter 50, titled Family Matters.
"Come with me, Gray," began General Farragut. "We're headed back to Area 51. You can give the president advice on a battle plan, since you have valuable information on Roanoke."
Suddenly, Gray dropped his water cup, glass shattering across the floor. Jason! Jason, he's still there?
"Who?" asked Farragut.
Gray grabbed the general's shoulders. My son! Sheldon had him locked in an airlock in Area 51 and threatened to have all the air taken out if I couldn't find Roanoke in time. Oh no! Gray fell to the floor, sobbing. Farragut and the assassin ran to his side.
"Gray, what is it?"
prodded Farragut. Gray sobbed all the more. Sheldon only gave me 1 hour until... And then he broke out into another round of tears. Farragut patted his shoulder. So call them up, Gray. Don't you have any time left in Sheldon's ultimatum? Gray looked at Farragut, stricken. It ended 4 hours ago. Gray howled in sadness. How could I forget my own son? The assassin stood up and walked over to the Oval Office phone. I'll call them. After a moment of silence, she said, Give me Area 51, please. This is Assassin 06, clearance Alpha Beta Sheldon 126. Thank you. After a moment of silence, and then whoever was on the line picked up. The assassin spoke. Yes, this is Assassin 06. Give me the status of prisoner Jason Gray. Really? You're positive? All right, we'll be there. Gray looked up expectantly. Well, my son? The assassin shook her head. They didn't tell me anything. They just said to come on down, so they can explain the situation. That works out just fine, since you're supposed to talk to the president there anyway. Gray jumped up. Well, what are we waiting for? Let's go! So General Farragut, Agent Keeler, Lawrence Gray, and the assassin hopped on the first plane to Las Vegas, and then they took a long ride in a black van to Area 51. Despite Gray's involvement in the situation, he was still required to be blindfolded on the whole van trip, so he wouldn't know exactly where Area 51 was. After a 3-hour drive, they finally arrived. They briskly walked into the war strategy room, where President Terry Ford was stooping down to look at some battle plan readouts. He was surrounded by multiple Secret Service strategists, high-ranking officers, and others. The war strategy room was in high gear. President Terry saw Gray and walked over to him, giving Gray a firm handshake.
"Lawrence Gray, just the man I wanted to see. If you take a look at these readouts..."
Sir," interrupted Gray, I hate to interrupt, but I must know about my son. Terry raised an eyebrow.
"Your son? Well, as far as I know, he's been treated quite well. Apparently Sheldon was just bluffing about the whole thing. In fact, here's your son now."
Gray turned around and saw Jason for the first time in over a month. Without a word, he ran to him and fiercely embraced his son. I'm so sorry, Jason, Gray said while half crying. I'm so sorry. Dad, not in front of the president, replied Jason. President Terry chuckled. Gray stood up and looked at the president. I can't believe Sheldon would flat out lie to me. I can, said the assassin. I've known Sheldon for 11 months now, and this is just like him. He'll do anything to get his way. A strategist spoke up.
Assassin 06, I need to confirm your identity information with you. Weight 150, height 60, name...
No, stop, cried the assassin, but the strategist didn't stop.
As I was saying, name Denise Gray.
The bustling war strategy room suddenly seemed silenced to Lawrence Gray. Did he just hear right? The name of his dead wife who died over a year ago? The assassin, or Denise, involuntarily looked over to Lawrence Gray. Now the room was all the more silent, all the workers watching for the impending confrontation. Finally, Gray broke the silence. Denise? He asked timidly. Is that you? Denise sighed and said, Yes, Lawrence, it's me. Oh, honey, exclaimed Gray as he rushed to embrace her. However, he was stopped from the impending embrace by Denise's outstretched hand. That's quite far enough, she said. Let's not make this bigger than it already is. Gray's eyes widened. Bigger than it already is? It's huge! You're alive! Denise rolled her eyes. Of course I'm alive. I was with you practically the whole time as an assassin. Gray was confused. Then why did you not reveal yourself earlier? You don't know how much me and Jason have missed you. Denise shrugged. Well, frankly, I liked the change. Everyone in the room could tell this fight may get worse than the Roanoke Army, so the room quickly emptied of all others besides the Grays. Gray noticed the emptiness of the room, but pressed on. Liked it? Yes, liked it, shot back Denise. You weren't being a good husband, and I just couldn't take it anymore. Being involved with the secret assassins team in the FBI, it was easy to fake my death and start all over. Gray's eyes widened. No wonder they wouldn't let me in the hospital room in your quote-unquote final moments. Then what did I bury? Oh, a wax figure, that's all, replied Denise. I mean, I could divorce you, but how would that look to the FBI? This was my only choice. Gray was flabbergasted. Only choice? How about, coming to me and, I don't know, talk about it? I couldn't, replied Denise, because you were never home. That silenced Gray, and he waited for her to continue. Almost every day you'd work an 8-hour shift at the police department. Then you'd teach a history class at the library for 2 hours, which, mind you, was volunteer work, so no pay at all. Then you'd study on your own for who knows how long. You can't leave at 6 a.m. and get back at midnight. You have no idea how hard it was to raise Jason all by myself. Maybe now you'll have the faintest idea of what a good parent is, now that I'm not there to fix your mistakes. Gray was stunned. She was right, and getting out of this wouldn't be easy. Denise, Just then, alarms and sirens rang everywhere. All at once, all the strategists and military personnel came crashing back in. President Terry rushed to Gray. You'll have to finish your familial battle later, Gray. We have to focus on the real thing. The Roanoke Army has somehow transported themselves to Nevada and are now attempting to break into Area 51. All right, and that is it for that chapter, guys. So now we've just learned that the mysterious assassin is now Lawrence Gray's long-lost wife, Denise, and the impending argument there. So how are they going to continue to talk to each other? What's going to happen there? And how are they going to fight off the Roanoke Army in Area 51? Well, you just have to find out in tomorrow's chapter, guys. All right? I'll see you then.